Good evening. It's a Monday evening. Welcome to Class 3, 4 and 5. Ready for Chapter 10 of Roald Dahl's Danny, the Champion of the World. Okay, let's say hello to our usual characters, everybody. Over here we've got Danny and his dad William, who's broken his ankle. Doc Spencer, who came to the garage to help fix his ankle. Evening, Rebel. There's Rebel. Evening, Mr. Shout Out. No shout outs today. Evening, Pesco. Okay, we've got Pesco as well. Right, so let's start the story. Now, Danny's dad's been taken to hospital in an ambulance with his broken ankle. Okay, Chapter 10. The Great Shooting Party. As soon as the doctor had driven away from the filling station, I went into the office and got out the sign that said, "Sorry, closed." I hung it on one of the pumps, then I headed straight for the caravan. I was too tired to undress. I didn't even take off my dirty old sneakers. I just flopped down on the bunk and went to sleep. The time was 5 minutes past 8 in the morning. More than 10 hours later, at 6:30 in the evening, I was woken up by the ambulance men bringing my father back from the hospital. They carried him into the caravan and laid him on the lower bunk. "Hello, Dad," I said. "Hello, Danny. How are you feeling?" "A bit woozy," he said, and he dozed off almost immediately. As the ambulance men drove away, Doc Spencer arrived and went into the caravan to take a look at the patient. "He'll sleep until tomorrow morning," he said. "Then he'll wake up feeling fine." I followed the doctor out to his car. "I'm awfully glad he's home," I said. The doctor opened the car door, but he didn't get in. He looked at me very sternly and said, "When did you last have something to eat, Danny?" Something to eat?" I said. Suddenly I realised how long it had been. I hadn't eaten anything since I had had my supper with my father the night before. That was nearly 24 hours ago. Doc Spencer reached into the car and came out with something huge and round, wrapped in greaseproof paper. "My wife asked me to give you this," he said. "I think you'll like it. She's a terrific cook." He pushed the package towards me, then he jumped into the car and drove quickly away. I stood there, clasping the big round thing tightly in my hands. I watched the doctor's car as it went down the road and disappeared round the curve. And after it had gone, I stood there watching the empty road. After a while, I turned back and walked up the steps into the caravan with my precious parcel. I placed it in the centre of the table, but I didn't unwrap it. My father lay on the bunk in a deep sleep. He was wearing hospital pyjamas. They had brown and blue stripes. I went over and gently pulled back the blanket to see what they had done to him. Hard white plaster covered the lower part of his leg and the whole of his foot except for the toes. There was a funny little iron thing sticking out below his foot, presumably for him to walk on. I covered him up again and returned to the table. Very carefully, I now began to unwrap the greaseproof paper from around the doctor's present. And when I had finished, I saw before me the most enormous and beautiful pie in the world. It was covered all over, top, sides and bottom, with a rich golden pastry. I took a knife from beside the sink and cut out a wedge. I started to eat it in my fingers, standing up. It was a cold meat pie. The meat was pink and tender with no fat or gristle in it, and there were hard-boiled eggs buried like treasures in several different places. I like the picture of it here. He's so hungry, he hasn't even sat down. He's just eating it standing up. And do you know what? That's made me think, children, of look at this pie I've got a picture of here on my iPad. Look at this. a bacon and egg pie. Could there be anything better than bacon and egg in a pie? Children, there's nothing better. So I thought I'd have a bit of a snack myself, you see, just to make things interesting, because I get hungry down in the shed, you know. And you can just imagine Danny, there he is, about to eat an enormous pie. Look at him, what a lucky lad. Oh, I should look forward to that after I finish telling you the story. Anyway, I shall put that to one side. So he's eating this enormous pie. Right, so where were we? The taste was absolutely fabulous. When I had finished the first slice, I cut another and ate that too. God bless Dr. Spencer, I thought, and God bless Mrs. Spencer as well. The next morning, a Monday, my father was up at 6 o'clock. I feel great, he said. He started hobbling round the caravan to test his leg. It hardly hurts at all, he cried. I can walk you to school. No, I said, no. I've never missed one yet, Danny. It's 2 miles each way, I said. Don't do it, Dad, please. So that day, I went to school alone. He's growing up slowly, Danny, isn't he? But he insisted on coming with me the next day. I couldn't stop him. He had put a woolen sock over his plaster foot to keep his toes warm, and there was a hole in the underneath of the sock so that the metal thing could poke through. He walked a bit stiff-legged, but he moved as fast as ever, and this metal thing went clink on the road each time we put it down. And so life at the filling station returned to normal. Or anyway, nearly to normal. I say nearly because things were definitely not quite the same as they had been before. The difference lay in my father. A change had come over him. It wasn't a big change, but it was enough to make me certain that something was worrying him quite a lot. I think if I was Danny's dad, I'd be wanting to get my revenge on Victor Hazel for digging that huge big pit. He would brood a good deal. Now, brood, children, that means you really sit there and think by yourself without saying anything. That's what brooding means. He would brood a good deal, and there would be silences between us, especially at supper time. And now and again I would see him standing alone and very still out in front of the filling station, gazing up the road in the direction of Hazel's Wood. So Danny's dad's definitely thinking about Hazel's Wood. Many times I wanted to ask him what the trouble was, and had I done so, I'm sure he would have told me at once. In any event, I knew that sooner or later I would hear all about it. I hadn't long to wait. I think Danny's dad just might be hatching a plan to get his revenge on Mr. Hazel. Right, well, I think any time now I should be getting my. I'm tired now. I want my pie ready to eat. So let's have a look. What? What's gone on here? You loathsome man, Mr. Hazel. You've eaten all my pie. Revenge will be sweet.